Welcome, folks. How are we going?
Hey,
Nice to
Monday
have.
night. Monday night. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's have a chat, eh?
Yeah.
So it's good to have you back on board, Baz. How's things down in the Tron?
Another day. Yep. Another dollar. Hopefully.
Ha, good on you. So yeah, like last week we had a few people watching, so a little bit of a false start. We're a bit later than what we thought. Geez, by a long way actually. So hopefully we haven't lost anybody. But
No, it's daylight saving. No one will know.
exactly, there you go. Look, it's it's still got a bit of light outside, so we'll be right. So yeah, look, we're going to pick up on some of the stories from where we left off, and I'm going to see if we can find the old man as well. I think he's still around, and he's probably got plenty to say. So Baz, what's happening? We got some uniforms on.
Hey,
We ditched the uniforms.
yeah, I know. It's not like us to have the separate shirts.
Yeah, we've gone
I didn't
retro.
get I didn't get the memo on the Nissan Mobile 500 shirt.
Mobile.
But then again, I don't have one, so I guess it wouldn't have worked anyway. So
I was
anyway,
going to
I
put.
still look at that.
Yeah, you still fit it. Pretty good, eh?
Yeah. Oh, parts of it.
Fair enough. Hey, I'm going to see if Bruce is around, and we'll get this show underway. Just send him a message, see if he can join the crew, and he'll join us in a minute. But yeah, look, I thought well, last week we picked up on up until sort of the XD era, and we're going to try and fill in people a little bit more, and maybe touch on that car that's on your shirt there. So we'll see if
Exactly.
Bruce is right on cue. Here he is.
Good evening, gentlemen.
G'day.
Hey, Bruce.
How are we going?
Well, I had no sound to listen to, but I'm just so impressed with that bra that Baz has got on. It's a size seven. It's a size 17, and I really just can't get over that.
It's a push up.
Where's your chicken fillets? Yeah. Well, evening,
jealous.
Dad. So we're a little bit. Apparently, the time zone in Hamilton's different to Auckland, so we were struggling to try and match everybody's schedule, and daylight savings thrown in there. So kind of buggered it up a little bit. But we're here, and we've got a couple of 3 people watching. Ross is on board. Greg Stokes is here. Kenny Holiday. Geez, there's a name from the past.
Yeah. I think the same guys are on last week too.
Yeah, well,
they watched this.
Kenny's a bit cheeky. Kenny's saying we're doing reruns. I think we're talking about new stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, it's new stuff tonight.
New stuff tonight. Well, look, Dad, just we could have gone on, and it was a bit of a dress rehearsal last week, so that was all pretty cool. But we're just going to change pictures here. So we touched on a few cars that you'd been in the past. You know, starting up there at the top, we got the Noel Kelly's number 14. That was the Zodiac, was it? The dual headlight.
Yeah, correct.
And then the Zephyr number 17. Geez, look at that, Baz. Back in the day, even the number 17.
Yeah. Look at that.
See the racing stripe there too, Baz. See that white racing stripe.
That'd be insulation tape, wouldn't it?
Straight from the paint shop.
Yeah. And then
was that painted on? Jeez, okay.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have digital signwriting cut out vinyl, so most of it was hand brushed. Yeah. And then obviously the HO. But look, I was a bit of a miss, and I just want to help fill in. There's a bit of a myth here about this HO. Legend has it, based on your old mate Patrick Smith, who we talked about last show. There's a bit of a story here about a certain trip covering from Napier to Whenuapai. You want to fill in the listeners?
Well, I just hope this is offline because I just don't know how far the transport department can go back. However, yes, a certain trip, my dad took the HO from Auckland or Whenuapai to Napier to run the motor in. We'd done a motor rebuild on it, and when he got down there, the car had been overheating on the way down, and couldn't quite figure out why. But they took it round to the local Ford dealer, and they sorted it out pretty quick, took the heads off. And what they found was that the head gasket, and anybody that's run Fords will know, there's a large water gallery hole at one end of the head, and there's a small hole at the other. And in the assembly process, that had been reversed, and essentially the motor was only getting a pinhole of water circulating, so needed some fixing. And I was duly called up, and because there was no flights, I went out to Ardmore and jumped on a little commuter plane, I suppose you'd call it, but it wasn't really. It was just a little Cessna. And Julie took a head gasket down to Napier. So at
So
this point,
you flew in private jet, a set of head gaskets from Auckland to Napier.
I wouldn't say it was a jet. It
Well,
was quicker. It was quicker than driving, but it wasn't a jet.
Only just.
Talk about luxuries back in the day. Anyhow, carry on.
Yeah, so once the head gaskets got there, the mechanics at the Ford dealership, and the name escapes me of the dealership, as you may know, it's probably the same dealership that's there nowadays. For some reason, Havelock Motors stands sits in my memory there. I don't know whether that's right or not.
I couldn't confirm that.
No, okay. So Julie gets fixed, and it's pretty late into the night at this stage, and but anyway, we decided that we're going to drive back to Auckland. So Mum and Dad had gone down there. Young brother Wayne, he was a passenger as well, and so we set sail from Napier to Auckland. And so the problem was there that Dad had been up, trying to get this car fixed, and I was a bit drowsy, and so we each took a turn at driving, but probably only managed an hour each. And Julie went to sleep. I was in the back, tangled in amongst the roll cage, and so back we came, and young Wayne, who'd only just got his license, he gets put in the driver's seat. Well, you can imagine a 15-year-old young lad and a couple of oldies gone to sleep on him, and he sort of keeps increasing the speed.
As you do.
So so the next thing that Dad and I recall was that there's flashing red lights, and we're coming to a halt on the side of the Southern Motorway.
Yeah.
And so that's all right. We sit quietly for a while, and then Dad decides he better get out because this gentleman of the law wants to speak with the driver, and Dad's there for the support team. And anyway, the story goes that all this transport department gentleman wanted to know was what the bloody hell's under the bonnet. He said I've been chasing this car. He said since the end of the Southern Motorway, and at this stage we're almost in the city, and so his car's sitting there, and I think if I'm right, it was a Vauxhall Victor, and it's going ping, 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 ping. And so it's not feeling too good about this. He said I've been flat out. He said the whole way.
Just foot to the floor, and he couldn't pull you in.
Yeah, most of the time he said this car was drawing away. So he wanted the bonnet popped, and sure enough, had a look underneath it, and Julie inspected it and was impressed. And to this day, how young Wayne never got a ticket, I really don't know. But,
so what was this still like in the wee hours of the morning or something? Pitch black darkness or something?
Oh, absolutely, middle of the night stuff.
Yeah.
Don't recall the time, but it could have been 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning for that.
Well, Barry, can you just imagine young Nathan, my youngest son? He's just turned 16. Could you imagine him letting him loose in my XE, going down the road and outrunning the cops?
I could imagine, but I dread the thought.
So, yeah, I'm sure his mother does as well. But
give him the chance, I reckon he would.
Yeah. So there's now, that's one of the iconic stories I heard about this car. But I thought there was another one with just you and Pat Smith, where Pat refused to then hop back in the car with you again.
Uh, well, no. I think maybe that part of the story's got a bit lost. Again, we're coming back from motor racing, but it's myself and one of our mechanics, a chap by the name of Hugh Harvey.
Oh, I
And
thought it was Pat.
no, and so anyway, we're in Napier because that's where Mum's sisters were. There's three sisters down there, and so there was a visit paid after we'd been to Levin, I think it was, and so we called in there and had a meal, and Hugh and I decided, well, we better head back home, and again it's middle of the night stuff. And so we set sail, and Dad was a bit concerned, as you would be, I suppose. So he said, "Look," he said, "make sure," he said, "you give me a ring when you get home." So we left there, and from that point onwards, I suppose I had one of the most enjoyable Targa drives that you're ever going to have. There was no speed control sections whatsoever. I don't know what happened to the marshals on the way up, but there was no marshals, and so I duly let the old girl have its legs, and off we went. Well,
This was in the
from
HO as
Napier-
well?
This is in the HO.
Yeah, yeah.
So from Napier to Whenuapai, I duly made the phone call. So arrived at Pinepac, made this phone call, and my dad says, "Where'd you crash?" And I said, "We're not crashed."
The faith.
I said, "We're at home." He said, "You can't be at home." I said, "Well, that's where we are. That's where I'm phoning you from."
Yeah, so it would have been here at this house.
Yeah. So he had a best time back in the day, and I think a Mark III Zephyr. His own personal time from Napier to Whenuapai was 4 3/4 hours.
Yeah.
And I'd managed to clip an hour off that, which I thought was pretty fair. And
So that's
not
3 hours, 3 hours 45 minutes from Napier, and
Correct.
this is on the old Napier Taupo Highway.
yeah, it was all pretty old road. I mean, this is 1971 we're talking about. So yeah, some of the motorways and some of the curves, hadn't been taken out, as it were.
Well, there you go,
And,
folks. You can look that up on we'll have to do the Google on directions and
do a
see how
Google.
long it says. Yeah. So 3 hours 45 is what Bruce did, and we'll see what Google says next time. No doubt our fans
Yeah.
online will be looking it up. Yeah, so you
anyway,
rung him.
just to complete the story there, Hugh Harvey, who's passed away now, of course, is quite a bit older than myself, but he then said, "Let me have that phone," and so he duly gets on the phone and speaks to Dad, and he said, "Never put me in a bloody car with that guy again."
Very good. Well, Greg Stokes has asked Barry, forgive me for jumping the gun here, but he's not. It's right on cue. Where is the HO now? Barry, you can give a quick update on that.
Luckily enough, it's not too far from Whenuapai. It's just down here in Hamilton, and with someone we know. So it's funny after all those years that the car would end up only sort of 2 hours away. Well, probably only half an hour away if Bruce was driving it. But anyway, Fred's got the car, and it's an immaculate looking car.
Yeah, we have seen
and
it.
It's a credit. Yeah.
Yeah, so the takeout for that story, when I got caught speeding in my Nissan Sentra from Taupo to Whenuapai in 2 hours 15 minutes, and I went past Dad on the Matamata Straits, and I thought, shit, I better stop and get my ass kicked. And then I thought, well, bugger it. He'll be actually, go boy, you've got to set a lap time, get into it. And how could he tell me off after hearing that story? So there you go, 2 hours 15 minutes from Taupo to Whenuapai. I don't know whether it's 3 hours 45 from Napier. That's pretty good. Anyhow, moving on. It's in the blood, Kenny. You're absolutely dead right. So we touched on this last show, and it's great to get into it. So we've got a good collection here of Fords, but tonight we're heading into this corner here. So this is probably what most people are renowned for, and even during the week. You know what, Dad? This car here, a certain Mr. A. Fogg up in Riverhead, didn't even know that that car existed. He'd never seen an XD Pinepac car before. So there you go. I hear under rumour mill that he may have acquired one. So I gave him the thumbs up for building Dad's XD tribute car. So that's pretty cool. You heard it here first,
Excellent.
folks.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, very good, Foggy. It's got plenty of votes. So
Yeah, what I can see there is that there's a problem with Foggy wearing nappies, and at that stage, the stage that we were running that car, I think he was barely out of those little diapers, and so I think that's the problem.
Let's not go there. Foggy doesn't need any encouragement at all, but he's rumoured to be wanting to come on the show, so we might do that. Hold him to his word. So anyhow, moving right along. So we did the HO, and lo and behold, I've come across these in the archives. Some may or may not have seen these before. Now, there's a bit of a rumour that the XE was actually a Johnson car, and if you get the latest Steve Holmes book, it sets the story correct in that it was actually built 100% in your workshop at Pinepac.
Yeah, that's right. But to be fair, the shell was sourced in Australia, and so there was just some initial, if you like, paint stripping and so on done, and it was the body shell that arrived in our workshop, and from that point on, every single thing was built in our shop. So no, it doesn't have any Johnson parentage as far as the build is concerned. That all happened later.
So also, interesting, we talked about the HO and you flying some head gaskets down there. This car, it also has seen, well, this car had seen life inside a plane as well.
Yeah, that's how we brought the shell over, and of course, just being a shell, there was no great weight attached to it, and air freight back then, I'm not sure whether it's totally the way they do it now, but it was just on a weight basis, and so it was pretty economical to bring over. From memory, it was somewhere around $1,000, I think, at the time to bring it back.
Yeah, it's probably, but back then though, that a grand's a grand, but back then it's relative.
So here we go. We move forward a little bit. The car's had a touch of, we've gone away from the white, so there's a new colour introduced into the team.
Well, a new colour, but I've got to say I had a bit of yellow paint in my blood from my childhood, and that was really around driving Caterpillar bulldozers, and so the yellow became part of our fleet colours back in the day. My dad had made that decision, and initially the fleet colour was highway yellow. That was the name of the yellow colour, and it was a little different to this. Not quite as bright. It was a more lemony yellow, and it served the company well. Made the truck stand out right from new. All the new trucks that joined the fleet were painted in those colours, including staff transport like Anglia vans and that sort of thing.
Mm. So yeah, later on we know it. Well, I certainly know it, and Barry knows it. We know it as Toby Yellow. So was that another paint code that was a paint code name that got attached to it?
Yeah, what happened there was because this colour originally, the highway yellow that I'm talking about, was a bit lemony. It really wasn't quite up to the job when you sat it alongside a Caterpillar bulldozer, and so my dad decided at the time to go with the Caterpillar colour. Now, unbeknownst to us at the time, it was called Toby Yellow. We only found that out after some time, and so Toby Yellow was one of the original Caterpillar colours. When I say original, Caterpillar have likewise transgressed or moved through different evolutions of yellow, and So that's where it actually came from. Nowadays, of course, I think we're pretty proud to say that PVG have labelled this Pinepac yellow. So pretty
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
about all of that.
Our good friends at Moselle Panel and Paint and Auto Paint. Jake Reed. Yeah, they've digitally scanned it from an old panel that we had up in the shed and matched it up. And yeah, go down to Moselle Panel and Paint now, and you'll see tins of Pinepac yellow. So that's pretty cool. Now, just backing up the train here, for those of you at home who are watching, is no clues really, no guesses who that is. That's pretty.
I think it's a fair. It's a giveaway, that one.
Yeah, that's none other than Ken Hopper.
Yeah.
So
the beard gives it away.
He was instrumental in building the car from the get-go. But check out in the background, Barry. I just wanted to quickly check out the tow cars. Look at that. What's that? That's a
XC, is it? XC Fairmont or something?
Yeah. Sorry, folks. We got. Let me just see if I can quickly just image only here. So we'll just do a little bit of forensics. There you go. You could do a check on the rego.
Yeah.
So we got that one.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump forward. Oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. We want to just move the images forward. Check out that for a tow wagon, Baz. You saw it just before on screen.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I think I've seen that car doing things it shouldn't have done at one point too.
Well, I remember as a kid back in these days. I'm just a little wee tacker sleeping in the back seat. So I remember that.
Actually, it might not have been that. It might have been a later Fairlane, but yeah, there was a couple of hot laps around the sawmill one day when we were invited up there for a barbecue. So
oh dear, Baz, don't lead us astray this early in the show. Anyhow, moving along. So
must have been Christmas time, Baz. We only did those sort of things at Christmas.
So someone's got to keep order here, and I thought you were it, Barry, but it's going to have to be me. So there we see her. There we see her heading off for what looks like her second trip to the paint shop. And if I get my right screen, here we go. She's come back first time looking as pretty as a picture in Toby yellow.
Yeah.
So
with the peanut bags on.
Peanuts, yeah. Well, you say peanuts. I've good authority from my good mate Greg Ralph in Australia. They called them the jelly bean wheels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Jelly bean shape of the holes. So there she is, and I think if I'm right, that's probably Airport Motors trailer.
Yeah, I think it was. Johnny Gilbert.
Yeah. So that was Airport Motors across the road, Main Road, Whenuapai, where the gull is now, for those watching at home. So just trying to get where my mouse is, and we go back here, you can see our ugly faces. So then she became this. So this is her Pride of Whenuapai sitting.
Can I just say that back then that must have been one of the best marketing shots. You'd be struggling to do that today. It looks like a model in a box that it come in. You know, that was awesome. Well done to who organised that.
Yeah, we used to do quite a bit of export back in those days, and that packet of timber underneath is deceptive because, as you say, Baz, it just looks like a matchbox. But those were the packs that we used to make up. There was generally about 25 cubic meters of wood in that, and so the car really, it took on that shrunk look, as you might say. So.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. We'll get onto it later, but geez, I wouldn't be brave enough to do that myself today. I don't trust myself on the hoist, but I think Massey Waru was responsible for lifting it up. There's photos of him in the album. I should have actually included that one in my selection. He was responsible for lifting it onto that packet of timber. So one assumes it's in gear. Heaven forbid.
You need 1,000 cones. You need 1,000 cones around it these days.
Oh, yeah, working at heights, and you'd have to have a handrail around there and all sorts. Look, that is, like you say, Baz, it is pretty iconic kind of modelish type setup. So, recently completed, and then obviously these two critters set off to try and beat the shit out of it.
Yep. There's trouble.
So those, it's so new. The car is so new that they don't even have the right shirt on, Baz. They've still got the old
No.
XD shirt on.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who let that down.
And
Someone
with a
let the team down there.
little bit of Dickie Johnson green coming through there, I'm sensing. Look at that, the green Pinepac.
Yeah, that's probably right. I think what you've got there is a couple of shrunk shirts and a couple of much younger guys. The problem with t-shirts.
Speaking of shrunk,
put it away, Baz. It's a family show.
Yeah, you're definitely a team member, Baz.
Yeah. Hey, look, I gotta jump in here. My cousin, young Ross, who's babysitting at the moment with Sophie, their newborn. She's only a month old, and she's getting educated in all things dirt, oval, NASCAR. You know, she's going to be the next fastest girl motorsport chick in New Zealand. Ross has said, bit of a segue there with the car on the packet of timber. What about the staff cars on the packets of timber? Now, look, that disciplinary meeting is still being had with Jacko, and we'll get him on the show one day, and he can explain where he hid some staff cars away so they couldn't get them. And yeah, it was literally up on top of packets of timber. But that's yeah, we won't go there. So moving on. So yeah, I think this is Bay Park, the debut of the XE, and I'm picking, if I look at my dates right, this is 1983. So
yeah, it's sounding about right. Yeah, Bay Park, of course, was good for gumboots back in those days, and as you'd remember the mud in the centre field there.
Yep.
It was a stock car track any other day of the week, and so we'd turn up there with cars that supposedly had a bit of spit and polish on them, and this is the sort of conditions you were facing.
yeah, look,
Yeah.
Well, I remember as a kid, and I think if the story goes right, Mum can probably confirm. We used to stay in the caravan at the camper grounds out the front of Bay Park. We just as you drove in the main gate, and it was on the seaside of Bay Park entrance, not on the backside. And I walked, I think, once from the campground to the track, and had to go on the underbridge under the racetrack, where you walked down and then popped up into the infield of the speedway track.
Yep.
And there was about a foot of water in there. And I'm walking along the concrete pillars, and these guys came in and they floored it and absolutely drowned me. Like head to toe, I was just brown. And so I went running to Mum, and I might have had a bit of mud running out of my eyes. And boy, Mum just set off. Show me who they are. Right, I'm going to go down there. Boom, off she went. She charged into their tent and she ripped them a new one. You can't do this to my son. Rah, 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 rah. I was like, go, Mum, go, Mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Bay Park. It was pretty rugged.
They never did that again.
No, not at all. Not once Jude sets off after them.
Yeah, I think that tunnel is probably down below sea level. I know it didn't take much for rainfall to fill it up.
No, it couldn't. So yeah, this is what we're sort of kind of touching on, and obviously a lot of people will know where this car ends up and how the story carries on till today. But one other thing I got a note in here, Baz, look at that trailer. It was good to see that eventually we got a little bit of an upgrade.
That's next level. That's supercar stuff in the day.
How did this come about?
Well, it was a dare I say it, but it was a bread van at one stage, and yeah, something else was carted around in it too. I think you can see a few ripples on the back of it there. But I think the most interesting thing about this is the sign writing, and we talked before about it all being hand done, and this is no exception. Not only are the large letters hand done, but all of the artwork that's done here, and it was pretty special, really. And the fellow's name's just escaped me for a moment, but
Doug Moore.
Doug Moore, that's right.
Yeah.
Another Pinepac man. And Doug was just an expert with graphics, and he was so accurate. He could have had a computer brain, I think, before it was popular to have printing done by computers.
Yeah.
So yeah, exceptional. And so yeah, thanks to Doug for all of that.
Yeah, look, it certainly was pretty cool. Yeah, like you say, Baz, it was. I think were you one of the? When I say we, you were one of the first to have a dedicated truck carrying the cars around.
Yeah, it was certainly really early on. There was one or two other small vans and so on, but yeah, I think we probably were, if not the first, certainly one of the early ones to put a truck on the road. And yeah, we fortunately bought a new truck, and so that made sure it was all reliable. And but as I say, put a bread van on the back of it, and it really served us well. We still have the old body. The truck's long since gone, but we still have the old body, and I've threatened to restore that as part of the team memorabilia, if you like.
Yeah, a few
Good
people
idea.
have been through the workshop, and I think your crew have been past it, Baz, and
Yeah.
many an ale was had in that vicinity of that truck. So never say never, but it'll
Yeah.
be a big job. So
Got a couple of stories. A couple of stories we could touch on, but it's probably not quite right at the moment. But of what
yeah.
out of the back of that truck when it comes to ales and yeah,
Well,
brilliant times.
I think the motorsport was more of a case of hurry up and get the racing over and done with, so we can start the aftermatch.
I wasn't quite like that.
I don't know.
We did what?
I can remember a
Yeah,
few
Sorry.
DB tankers getting towed behind it.
Yeah. Well,
Anyhow, so
try that now.
what if all goes well, and it's bound not to, because we're just here's the same truck, and I think this is actually at the same embankment. So that's where she is, and this is some of that. Whoop, turn that off. I get copyrighted, so I've got to turn the sound off. So this is the old girl busting a move at touring car series, I think it is. Oh, there's Trevor McLean giving him a bit of a rub. Go back and catch a replay on that.
Grumpy was always in the way, and if you didn't get him out of the way early, he caused all sorts of grief. Bless his heart.
So there he
And
is on the inside in the white car, for those who are watching at home. And who's in the black one? Is that Wilkie?
I think that's Wayne Wilkinson. Yeah, the sign writing's not familiar, but he certainly drove a black car.
So right about here, I think we get someone like Ross Thurston to adjudicate. He's giving racing room. Oh, just takes his nose off.
Yeah, not a spot of paint.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
There's a couple going under the weeds, and you decide to go through the grass.
Well, yeah, pretty easy decision, to be honest. When the track's going to be blocked, you take evasive action, and yeah, it was a pretty wet sort of a day, I think.
So it appears that way.
From memory out the front, and I'll try not to keep putting the cursor everywhere, folks, but is that Gary Bromley in the XD?
Yeah, it'd have to be Gary, or I don't think it's the Spragues. So no, I think it's probably Gary Bromley. He had quite a quick XD.
Yeah. So I recall. I think that's correct. So yeah, here we are at Pukekohe. So this is the ANZ series, crossing the line, and carrying on. Same year. Now we've got a iconic car in amongst here as well. I think you just saw it briefly, and that was the other white XD, which was the Leo Leonard car, was it not?
Yes, yeah. Leo drove it 1 year, and then Gary Sprague drove it the next.
And here on screen, oh sorry, we're jumping too fast. We'll go back. Yeah. This Commodore here, there's a bit of a connection with the Commodore you just passed.
Yeah, that's Warren Midgley in that particular car, and yeah, he was again competitive back in the day. We also had him drive the XE when we moved to the Fox Body Mustangs, We had the XE sitting doing nothing at the time, and so Warren's been one of the drivers of that car.
Yeah, yeah. And those watching at home, Midgley name will be familiar with Central Muscle Cars. So John Midgley, who races against us, his father Ian, and the relationship to Warren is it's Warren's cousin. Is that right?
Yeah, you're getting it pretty right there.
Geez, Mum will be happy that I've been watching all the genealogy that she's been doing. So yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's quite a cool
yes,
linkage. The Anderson name through the family, but also obviously the Midgley's racing generation on generation. So Warren's
yeah, and I
boys are
think
often off-roading now, so they do a lot of dirt racing. So
yeah,
Baz,
and this just before you leave that Commodore, I saw the sign writing on the side of it, and there's a big SS on there, Stam Semenov Transport, Whangarei. And the Midgeleys have had a long association with that company in Whangarei. So the Midgeleys nowadays have got transport interest, trucks on the road, and they contract with Stan Semenov to bring stuff down from the north.
oh, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
we're going forward, and if I'm finding where my mouse is lost, having too many screens to try and keep interactive with. So we'll play that. Well, that's at Manfield. I'm sure everybody at home can pick that. I think I did a video once on that, and it's they were doing 222s or something crazy like that. 218s, I think. No, it was in the 220s, 222, 224, and the NZV8's getting around there in 209s. So quite a big difference in speed. So Baz, look at this. Check this hat out.
I've got something similar to that. Never throw anything away.
No, mate, look at that. It's the very same.
That's with flat caps. They're back in style now.
Yeah, and the snapbacks. Look at that.
Yeah, that's right.
So
These
yeah,
are worth a fortune.
I know. So yeah, we're into retro round already. So shows you how old it keeps well. I don't know about Bruce hasn't kept as well as the hat has, but it's all good.
Oh well.
So I think I can sneak a bit of audio on this one. Let's have a go. Oh no, maybe not.
He's Oh no,
There you go. There's
No.
the hat that I wear.
He's
He's
going to
showing off.
talk. Yeah, this is Wigram. So Bruce had mentioned about that XD, and now I think we've got Leo Leonard in it. He's chasing him around Wigram here.
Yeah, typical airport circuit, rough as hell, and your biggest problem there was to stay on the amount of concrete that you had to run on. Cars, you're getting up to fair old pace, but there's no camber on anything, and all you got was understeer and wanted to run off. So
Hang on,
but one
understeer. What the hell? This isn't understeer. Look at this.
Yeah. It doesn't look like you're trying there, Bruce.
No, but
God.
you can see exceptional understeer turned into vicious oversteer.
Let's
all
check
in
that
an
out,
instant.
folks. We'll
All
roll
in
it
an
back.
instant.
He's just cruising around with Leo there, around the back of the hangars, and misses the apex by a mile. That's going to make Shane Van Gisbergen's Apex Hunters highlights reel, and then flick oversteer to get it pointed in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. It's all throttle control. It's all throttle control.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Andrew. Oh, sorry, he went back. He's got the same mo as you.
We changed shop pretty quickly for that exact reason. So, it's my show. Come on. Anyhow, so the XE went on a bit of a tour, and I remember as a kid, this was pretty cool. We spent a trip down the South Island following the ANZ series. So here it is. Here's your old mate again.
Yes, Robert Franisevic, and driving the Lendich car, and very much a West Auckland effort there.
So this is Levels Raceway in Timaru on the old configuration, so the short back straight. Again, Shane Van Gisbergen's going to love this photo. Look at the apex hunter there, man. He's miles off the apex. Jesus. What's
Lack
happening?
of brakes.
Yeah, hang on. We got to get the driver's reaction to this here. Look, he's laughing. Yeah, I don't know about that. So yeah, so this is the South Island tour. This was the Wigram photo we were just looking at before, and there's yeah, just zoom in there. Look at those. Geez, check out that helmet. How does he see anything out of there? Bruce has got the Greg Murphy lean going on.
This guy's leaning over.
Look at that. He's getting in the passenger seat.
I think he's reaching down for a pint.
Leo Leonard, look at him. That's the iconic number one from winning the series the year before in the XD. Now, that's the car I alluded to during the show that Foggy has a little bit of a soft spot for. So yeah. He's seen the light. He's coming back to the taxis. So there's the Black Holden in the background. So that's Wigram. And then here's another one here of the old girl, and sign in the background again. That was one my mate Greg Ralph and I hunted high and low for. Just Juice. That was a familiar name as sponsoring the Bay Park series back in the day. And again, that could be, I'm not sure, it's Bruce or Wayne in there. I thought Wayne had the red helmet, so it's jury's out on who that may or may not be.
Got the globe wheels on still there. See? Is it the globes?
Yeah, got the globes going. Looks like the girls have been busy polishing those. I remember as a kid having to polish the wheels. That's all I was allowed to do. But one of the cool stories I can recall, if we go back to the South Island one, and this shows how old I am. 84, the year of the flood in Invercargill, we went tripping, and because we couldn't, if I get the story right, Dad, we couldn't race it. You couldn't race it in Invercargill because it was flooded out, so we got to spend a week up at Queenstown. Then we went up to Mount Cook. Now you got talking to the chef. You wanted to compliment the chef at the Mount Cook Lodge where we were staying, and you offered him a ride in the car. Do you remember this? And then the next morning we went down the road and offloaded the car, and we were driving down the main road at Mount Cook in that car, and you took the chef for a hot lap down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it all unfolded, and yeah, I'm not sure whether he was the chef or the wine steward, but either way, he looked after us at dinner. And yeah, so the story is perfectly true. And again, I'd hate to think that New Zealand constabulary can go back that far.
I think there's a few tickets coming in the post.
Yeah, I think so. And what I found was that because you're up at a little bit of altitude there, that the old XE was running a bit lean, and so probably didn't open its legs as much as it could have. And but just the same, I mean, anybody that's in a race car in that part of the world, it's something special. So again, another part of the Targa saga, if you like, around New Zealand, and pretty special to be able to have done it.
So now I'm just going to play a little bit of video, and all going well. This is me back in the day. So we'll see if we can play this without getting copyrighted. We shouldn't. So, and I think you'll remember a familiar voice in the background.
Accepted an invitation from the Anderson brothers of Pinepac to drive their Ford Falcon, which has been recording impressive lap times recently. Johnson, who has a Bathurst win to his credit, was forced out of the recent James Hardy 1000 race in Australia by mechanical failure.
Dick Johnson at Bathurst just a few weeks ago. A real estate developer from Brisbane who now does more motor racing than real estate developing, Johnson is one of the more colourful characters on the Australian track. The Falcon gave out before the end of the race, but Johnson's faith in Fords is immovable, and he's here to drive a local one. It's the car owned by Bruce and Wayne Anderson at Pinepac. which
to,
last Sunday was briefly leading at Bay Park, but it was forced out by...
There was quite a few shots like this put together when Dick came across and drove with me, and so yeah, there was a very close association.
Yes, sorry, the audio might have gone over the top of you there, but how did this phone call come about?
Well, you know, I suppose you think you've got one of the better cars in New Zealand, and you better go looking for a pretty good sort of a co-driver. And there was no doubt at that stage that Dick was top of the Ford contingent. Some would say Alan Moffat, but I think probably those two drivers, Moffat and Johnson, were on a par. And Johnson had been to New Zealand before, and of course, he was driving a Falcon at that stage, and it seemed a very natural thing to get him across and try and get him, well, ask him first, obviously, then get him across and get him in the seat over here in New Zealand.
Did he take much convincing to come over, Bruce?
Oh, look, as I recall it, I think we had to find some 4X, which was a hell of a job. And you'd be amazed how far you have to go to try and find 4X in New Zealand, especially back then. And so we sorted that out. Talked to Eric Mallard at the time, Quacker as we fondly knew him, and said, look, I'd like to have Johnson across. How about a dollar or two to see his airfare? And so Eric Mallard was instrumental in giving us a few dollars to get him on a plane, and yeah, then the rest was history, really. And Dick was just so easy to get on with. I'd not actually met him face to face until he came to drive with me, but a hell of a guy, and just so neat to have had him here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, obviously, back at the time, I think we were getting a lot of videos of the racing, the touring car racing from Australia, sent over from Robin and living over in Aussie, your sister, my auntie. So we well and truly knew who he was, and certainly for me as a kid, here's Dick arriving to drive Dad's car. It was, like you said before, it was pretty surreal for me as a young kid having him over here. So now
yes. So just you may want to lead on to a bit more of that story, but there is one part of it that's really special, and I think it really just shows the skill level that Dick was operating at, and that was that when we lined up to take the car to Wellington, we said to Dick, look, how about we meet you at Manfield on the way down, and you can have a few laps in the car and just get a feel for it. Yeah, mate, she'll be right. So we duly met up at Manfield, and I said, well, do you want to hop in? He said, no, you go out and do a few laps. He said, I'll keep an eye on you. And so out I went, and I might have done 6 or 8 laps or something, and Dick stood on the sidelines and watched, and so I came in, got out of the car, and said, well, you better put a helmet on and some overalls. And he said, well, what the hell would I want to do that for? He said, she's going all right. He said, let's get to Wellington. And so that was the extent of his time in the car, which was absolutely zero before a race like Wellington. Even then, the build-up for Wellington the first time round was pretty significant. But he just took it all in his stride, and then, of course, he hopped in the car and just proved how good he really was.
So this photo of you and Dick here on the start-finish line at Pukekohe, this is B&H. So he did actually technically drive the car before Wellington, didn't he? So, but I get what you mean about coming over and refamiliarising himself with the car and some upgrades. That he felt that your test laps were sufficient, and he was quite happy to take on Wellington with no more seat time. So, segues, you did a very good job of leading us into this next photo, and just even today, I think this one here, I think Dick's expression just says it all.
Oh yeah.
Like, what the?
We normally get the sheep jokes, but there'd be possum jokes going around back in Australia after that, I'd say.
There was, yes. So he's got the can of 4X in hand. colour coordinated with the yellow pants, which a lot of people are threatening to bring back in retro round. So,
Go on.
well, yeah, I'd have to get the tailors onto that. But look at they've got the Eater chips in the background. Here's the catering team. Mum's been hard out with the catering, and there's a real good story here I'll try and quickly add if Dad doesn't remember it. But I've had it under good authority that this young kid holding the possum, I've even verified that, that's actually Shane Wexton.
Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover that just a few years back. I don't think we ever knew either who it was, but he took a look at it, and the conversation went that that was Shane, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Segway shot there, and you can't quite see them in the background, the sandwiches. Everybody knows Dick Johnson as being the consummate joker, and he's always got a one line, and he's, you've got to get up pretty early in the morning to get one over Dick. Mum got him an absolute ripper, and we probably needed to get her teed up to be on the show. So the story goes that Mum was doing all the catering, so her and everyone else that was helping her put all the sandwiches together, the ready-made sandwiches, buttered them, put lettuce in them, put the toppings in, da-da-da-da. We had the sauce bottle there in the background, so we probably had the barbie going, but made up all these pre-made sandwiches. So didn't want to wrap them all individually in the Glad wrap, so put them back in the same plastic bag that the sliced bread came in. Well, get to the track, fast forward, Dick wants a sandwich, Mum grabs the big bag of sandwiches and hands it to Dick, and he goes in there and pulls it out. Shit, sliced bread, pre-made sandwiches. Mum says, yeah, don't you buy those in Aussie like that? We buy them here in New Zealand like that. And he just bought it. He absolutely took it. So hats off to Mum. She managed to pull one on, the absolute practical joker. They've been good
work,
friends.
Jude. Well done, Jude.
Since. So we move forward, and you mentioned Wellington. We can't not bring some Wellington photos into this. Here's you, Dad. I think you've got my my yellow open face helmet I used to use hooning around the paddock and on the quad bike, on the three-wheeler, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure which helmet that was. I thought it was possibly the one that I put up in front of the camera there before. But this is a closed face, and yeah, this is one of the Bathurst versions.
Yeah. No, this one I know it because I used to wear it a lot, and that was when I was racing the trike around Whenuapai section. And it's one we haven't been able to find somewhere. It's alive somewhere. We've got to find it. So this is you at Wellington, Keith Murray in the front there. Here's the team lineup. A few familiar faces in amongst them all.
Great looking bunch.
We've got Bruce there on the right, Murray Lonergan, Wayne, Mr. Pullman, KP. I can't recall the guy in the back, but then I can't go past this.
Might be Veen Smith, is it?
No, it's not Veen Smith. It was a young guy that came and helped out. He was about 7'3". Then Cosmo and Dick on the end, and again the face in the background with the glasses on and the beard I can't recall, and I think he was a friend of Pullman's, to be honest, but I just clutching at straws there. I was only a wee tagger. But yeah, so here it is, Wellington. Just go back to my video here, and here she is, Wellington Street Race.
Yeah, so there is another bit of a story there with Judith. Judith was in those days our official timekeeper, and mostly it was handheld stopwatches, but normally two of them. And Judith would religiously, be writing down lap after lap after lap, for however long it took, practice and right through the race as well. And so when we got round to qualifying there was a bit of dispute on what lap times were. I think the organisers were at 6s and 7s. They really hadn't done anything quite like this before. And so Dick went out and recorded a pretty good time. don't actually remember the numbers, but recorded a pretty good time. Came back and checked with Judith what it was, and then the official times came out, and so the official times had Dick about 2 seconds slower from memory, and at this particular point in time, I didn't see Dick lose his cool, but he certainly had some words of wisdom for the timekeeping crews, and so he visited them. And he said, what's the story with his time? And they said, well, that's the time he did. And he said, well, no, it isn't. He said, here it is. And he'd taken the timesheets that Judith had, which were religiously lap by lap, each second, points of a second recorded. And there was just no doubt that he was a couple of seconds quicker than that. So that was how Jude played her role on the day and did it exceptionally well.
Again, I was clinging to mum all weekend because 85, so I'm 13 years old. That's showing my age, and my job was to give Dick a bottle of water or a drink when he come in after every session. I think you asked me to do that, Dad. Just make sure he's got a drink bottle. So I'll be giving him this bottle, and sometimes you drink, sometimes you go, and you go, he just spat like. But I think the little addition to that story is that, again, this is me being a gullible 13-year-old. Dick said along the lines, because he couldn't tell a story without tuning it, only Dick could. And it was, I think, he said, I think that timekeeper was out getting a hamburger and not doing the stopwatch. And I, again, being a gullible kid, I just believed it. So I went around telling everybody, the timekeeper was getting a hamburger and he wasn't timing Dick. And of course, all the adults were sick of it. They're like, "Yeah, we know." It's like you'll get it in a few years' time. But yeah, that was Dick. He was always always the joker. But yeah, a hell of a nice guy to be around. So there it is. The I can't play the audio because it's going to get us copyrighted. We haven't got the funds to pay for that. But some pretty iconic shots there, and yeah. Wellington Street Race, the Monaco of the South Pacific, I think they called it, and the inaugural street race, and that car there sat on pole position, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to say that I don't think I've ever seen a more iconic shot of a car coming down that straight with the sun flashing on the windscreen like that. It was just absolute classic, and yeah, just brilliant.
That's been viewed thousands, or probably that shot. You're exactly right, Bruce, with that sun shining on it on the Toby yellow Falcon. You won't get a better shot than that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty memorable, that's for sure. All right, so we've got some. We looked at a couple of pictures. We brought the team up. Here's another one that has been going around on the roaring season. I get tagged in it a lot. Steve Holmes, he's done a brilliant job depicting the era of this car, and the only one other car that qualified as a Group A Falcon for all the reasons why it did, and forget about how it got there, and it was on the day. So that story is never going to get unravelled. And that's Dick getting into the hairpin and plucking the wheel off the ground, getting stuck into it. And yeah, so then I think the return, it obviously didn't do, it led pretty convincingly for a little while at the beginning of the race, and then had some diff problems, wasn't it, Dad?
Yeah, look, essentially that photo is telling the story, and you can imagine this car had a Detroit locker in it, and the issue was that it just picked up the inside wheel, as you can see there. It appears to be on the ground, but that corner and a number of others, it would pick up the inside wheel, then come crashing down, and all the drive, of course, was getting shocked through the car. The track was so rough that the Detroit would come unlocked once that wheel came off the ground, whereas it's supposed to stay locked in. In fairness, Dick did tell us that there was a solution to the problem, and we weren't smart enough to take him up on it and fix it. But yeah, so that was the issue. and that reverberated through the car. We actually ended up again with rear end problems.
Yeah, well, there you go. I forgot to mention before, but this is why I started with the shirt on. So as a kid, this is me. I think this is actually your shirt, Dad, because my one would have been a bit smaller at the time. So yeah, Wellington Street Race inaugural. Thanks for the little segue. And to round it off with the street race is this photo here I managed to find. This is the bookie meeting the next weekend. And if I get rid of us out of the shot, I'll just put that up there.
That
Look
crowd,
at
look at that crowd. That's, yeah.
Don't you just, an absolute packed grandstand. They're all standing too. They're not sitting. So they're all standing. It's standing room only. And it's all the way back up into the grandstand. And I would imagine, Baz, you guys are up on the hill embankment somewhere, and it would have been exactly the same.
Definitely, yep. We would have been there early to stake our patch, but yep, couldn't move.
So yeah, it can be done. You can get a crowd at Pukekohe, and supercars can, but these guys, this was it back in the day, and yeah, that's pretty special. So, geez, guys, we've gone over our commercial hour, 45 minutes, so we're into the 1 hour 5 mark. Got a few little things to hear, but I suppose, Dad, the thing for me as a kid, it was pretty cool. We go back to when this car was built. I remember you taking me to primary school. I used to catch a ride with you. You were going to work early. I was lucky enough, go and look at the car. So 93, I'm only 11 years old. Go and look at the car, pester Hoppy for half an hour, and then go on down to go down to school and tell all my mates, Dad's building a race car up the road. What? Yeah, he's building a race car up the road. So that was pretty cool. But it's cool that this car has a connection with Dick as well. And I'll just move forward here, get you guys on screen. We've after Wellington, it didn't really do much more service because things moved Group A, and we'll get into the next phase, which is the Fox bodies. Here I'd noticed that Baz, the truck's got an upgrade now. She's got an awning.
Exactly, yeah. I think it probably helped for our barbecues afterwards.
Yeah. So I think when you're saying you were, the room under the tailgate at the back got a bit busy, so we needed to put an awning on it to have a bigger party.
Yeah. No, it was ahead of its time, as I said that before, but you couldn't miss it in the paddock.
So we're gonna if the audio behaves, and those at home, my apologies because the audio on this is a bit scratchy. This you might have seen the little pop-ups popping up, and I put some of these highlights together for Dad's 60th a few years ago, and this was a nice little addition. So apologies in advance if the audio comes through a little bit blaring for you, but just play this forward.
Well, Bruce, I know 23 years ago is a long time, mate, and I think you've reached one of your milestones. And one thing that I know is, mate, I'm in front of you, so I know there's going to be a huge night for you, that's for sure. So the next day ain't as good as what they used to be, I can tell you. But see this? We've got the Tim B mount. At least I can sort of drink something. It's pretty hard with Pinepac because I couldn't eat that shit. So at the end of the day, mate, I know you're going to have a ripper time, and it's been great knowing you all these years, and I'm sure that there's a lot of years to come, mate, because I'll still be coming over here until I drop off the birds. And I know you'll be involved in motor racing for a while, so have a great time, and I wish you all the very best.
So I hope people heard the audio on that. Did you hear that, Baz?
I didn't hear it. I'm a good lip reader, and I've watched it a few times before, but no, couldn't get the audio. But I don't know about the folks back home or about you, Bruce.
Yeah.
No, nothing coming through here, unfortunately.
Okay, it broadcast online, so my apologies, guys. I haven't collected you into the audio feed, but that was a clip that I had the privilege of jacking up at the Hamilton Street Race. So that was in about an April, and I think your birthday was around the November, and kept it under wraps since then. And just a testament to the man and the relationship that you guys started back in the day, and that he'd take his time out and say, and oh, thanks, Greg. He's just confirmed that he heard it. So not a lot of people probably have heard that, and it played at your
Good work, Greg.
60th, and yeah, he was just. When I asked him, made the contact, said, "Hey, can we catch up at Hamilton?" And he says, "Yeah, too right, mate, too right. No worries. Just tell me what to do." And testament to the man, the legend, that he holds you in that regard, Dad. So yeah, it was a cool little thing.
This is a cool shot. What we're looking at now.
Yeah, I jumped too fast. So this is Pukekohe. So when Dad was out racing, there's a bit of a double win here. Dad's out racing the Mustang, so we get to go to the pits, and we park outside DJ and Jilly's pit garage, and of course then Mum gets to catch up with her number one fan, or her number one idol. She's a big Dickie fan, and so there's who are those fellas, Baz?
Oh, I see DJR. I guess Team Penske back then, but it was always DJR for me. That's the emblem I see.
Yeah.
Look at them. Yeah.
So we'll have to get, like I mentioned, have to get Mum on board. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, we don't catch up with him a lot, but when we do, it's like we haven't. We've seen him only just last week, and you two as well, Dad. If I can go forward here, this here was pretty cool. My one and only time driving a supercar at Bathurst, and we walked in the track, weren't we? And lo and behold, who do we catch up with at the top of the hill?
Yeah, it's pretty special, really. That an association that starts off so long ago, and we still seem to touch base every now and again, and yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, and as you say, Baz, this was 20.
That'll be around 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, yep.
So again, catching up with old friends and Mum and Jilly. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, nice a bit of history there on the XE that started off in a little shed in Pinepac. Someone brave enough to call a legend over and share the car, and the relationship that grew from there. And we'll touch on it when we move into the next era of cars, being the Fox body.
Can I just quickly jump in there? And if what you say is someone brave enough to call Dick over, that's probably helped a lot of the race itself. The fact that Dick Johnson was there, it gave it a lot more exposure than probably it may not have had. So yeah, well done, Bruce.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there, Baz, and that was something that Eric Mallard saw the merit in. In the background, Eric's got a lot to be thanked for the work that he put into the New Zealand Grand Prix organisation and Auckland Car Club and any part of motorsport that needed a hand. Eric was there, and I can remember having that conversation with him, and he said, "Yeah, look, we've got to do this," and he said, "I'll find a way." And so, yeah, one of the unsung heroes of New Zealand motorsport, if not, one of the most important guys behind the scenes.
Absolutely, yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, rest in peace, Eric. We lost him just only a couple of years ago. So, Baz, look, that's just about wrapped up the XE era. But seeing as we're going to park this car a little bit, it'd be amiss not to just do a little bit of a linkage here, and I don't know whether it's calling someone responsible or blaming them or giving them credit. I'm not quite sure how to phrase it, but Baz, you got touched by the XE bug.
Oh yeah, I guess, and that started from you guys, or from the whole Toby Yellow, from the green stuff, Palmer tube mills, and yeah, I got one, and I let it go. Look at the number plate. Can you?
Yeah, we'll show that. Yeah, we know you're a one-eyed Holden man. I mean Ford man.
Cut it out. Yeah.
So you're blaming Bruce for this purchase, and Jackie's going to ring Bruce tomorrow and say you were responsible, Bruce.
Yeah. I think the trouble with motorsport is that it's contagious, and Baz, I'd have to say that you probably caught the worst case of it that I've ever seen, and they talk about COVID, but I mean I think motorsport and your good self go hand in hand, and you likewise have done a lot to just encourage people to get on and do things and have fun, and I think that's threaded its way through your years of not only following us but following others in motorsport. So, yeah, thanks to you and yours, your brothers especially.
Yes.
You've been around a long while, and enthusiastic fans.
Yep.
Yeah.
And long may it continue, and just get more fans on the hill.
Yeah, true. We need them all back out off the couches watching it. So,
Yeah.
look, Baz, you want to tell the viewers where this is kindly rested after your stint?
Yes, after my stint, it was getting too hard to, as you can see, I've turned my sort of garage into more of a man cave, and it just got to the point where it was too hard for me to push out by myself and bring back in, and so it's got to go. But there's only one place it was going to go. I think it was murmured that the fact that, with Aviate Motorsport, Jacko, and there's possibly a car for sale, and I'm so comfortable with where that car is, and I've been in it since Jacko's had it, and I would have never driven it like he did. He took me for a ride, as you know, and I thought something's got to pop somewhere along the line, but no, he tuned it up. He tuned it up real good, and what would have cost me a lot to do what he done to it in a short time, but I say it's the memories are there, and I know I can sleep safe knowing where it is, and I would imagine I could probably have a drive of that car anytime he offered that day for me to drive it. But
well, the interesting thing there is, yes, it has gone to Wayne's, and Wayne has given it a bit of an upgrade. He did give you a bit of a jib for being the consummate used car salesman and doing him on it, but that's another story. But
everyone says that.
his grandchildren are actually driving that round the yard. So Dylan and Trex is only about 8 years old, I think, or 9 years old, and he's learning how to drive that Falcon around the yard. So it's a pretty good paddock car, I would imagine.
He must have put power steering back in it, because I never had power steering when I had it.
So Baz, you mentioned about you. Well, yeah, look, I got caught as well. I got stung. That XE, it was a car that just it needed to get into my garage at some point in my life, and I never thought I'd get the opportunity. And thankfully, Andrea, when I found it on Trade Me 5 years ago, I think it was, she agreed to let me have it. So I blame Dad, but I also thank Dad, because that's what I ended up with. But like all things, Baz, that was the start. That started a project. But yeah, it's been pretty cool to here we have the original parked outside the Handyman Centre at Pinepac back in '93, and that was mine when I finished rebuilding it 2 years after I bought it. So
it's a credit to what you've done, and once again, I think a plug for Mosels as well. What a great job!
Yeah, Steve, he was on board with the project and the vision, and not bad for someone who's only ever played with timber and never was a engineering scholar to save himself, but managed to remember where everything went, and it got back on the road.
Yeah. Well, we visited a couple of times, just to obviously when we saw the upgrades, or the progress, and it was I'd shaken my head to the detail that went into every nut and bolt. It's credit.
So it's 99% the same. Obviously, it's a little bit different. I agonised over a few things, but ultimately, there's no mistaking where the car's heritage came from, Dad. So the very first day I finished it and drove it out of the shed, it came straight round to you and to have a look. And then, obviously, just recently, it's now that's her there.
That's it.
Yeah, so this is where the confusion will reign again. and I nicknamed this car XE3, and I was immediately hauled up by Andrew, and he said, "Well, it's actually closer to XE1 than a 3." And of course, yeah, a great credit to you. Baz has covered that pretty damn well, and but yeah, it's amazing what that sign writing did to that car. It looked pristine, obviously, in yellow, in our Toby yellow or Pinepac yellow. However, the sign writing just gave that car another life and just changed it dramatically.
Yeah, so hats off to my mate Bill at VCal Signs who did the livery, and now the car is fortunate enough it's had the Midgley family influence on it, and those wheels that are on it are original Dig from period out of storage. Those wheels were on the original back in the day, so I'm pretty chuffed to know that I'm driving around on rims and wheels that not only Dad's driven but Dick's driven, and the original car has. So it's got a true connection to the original one, and I think it's like any race car, isn't it? If you've got 2% of the original car, you can claim it to be the original car. Isn't that how it goes?
That'll do it.
Oh, look, at 2%'s overdoing it. I think there's a few running around where just the rear vision mirror is the only thing that's from the original. So I think rubber to the road in this case identifies it and gives it that heritage.
So it got Dad's tick of approval, but it also got Mum's tick of approval. So that's good. So Mum thinks it's all right. So that's good.
Yep.
And
good photos.
Got to look after Mum because Mum taught me how to get my license. So that's cool. So we're just closing the show because we're going to be here a bit longer, but it's run pretty good. So we've kept Baz, we've got 17 people online. Isn't that a thing?
It's an iconic number. Yeah. Please don't anyone drop off, or we don't need any more to join because that's the right number to have.
Yeah. And no, Ross, it's not Santa standing by the car. You should know who that is. Just to close off this era of XEs, we'll touch on it when we get to the modern stuff that you've been doing, but there's also this one. We talk about XE1, XE2, XE3. It's got XE2 on this car. It's this is a whole nother story in itself, but not only have we been able to recreate the road car, which is pretty cool, we've actually got one back on the track as well. So we'll cover this off on another story, but we'll close out on this, and that was the photo shoot that was taken when the XE muscle car was built, which it's been pretty cool that we've both had a chance to drive it and even had it endorsed by yours truly.
Here's a shot.
Yeah.
Who's that guy in the middle? Seen him somewhere.
I don't know. He keeps coming and stalking into our photos. I wish, I don't know. They let him in at Hamptons that day and even gave him a Hamptons shirt. So, the original XE enduro drivers as well. We're not forgetting Wayne and others like Warren Midgley, who's had a chance to drive the original car. But this was at Hampton Downs for the Hampton Downs Legends of Speed, and Dick was able to come out and catch up with the replica car and give it the nod of approval.
A great weekend, that.
Yeah. So, look, thanks, guys, for chatting away. We've kept a few people entertained. We'll go back to the lobby. We've still got 17 people online. Sharon Cuttance is online. Hi, Sharon.
Shazza. Hey, Shazza.
So Ross Simpson, that car puts... no, it doesn't put one of those on a jellyfish. It is exciting, but no, it's not one of those. So, look, it's been cool to update the fans a little bit of the history of the original car. And again, ironic that at that Legends of Speed meeting, Dad, I find it hard to believe that people can't remember you drove with Dick Johnson, because I know a few people commented, hey, why is Dick hanging around with the Andersons so much? And it's like, well, some people had to correct them and say, well, you realise Bruce actually drove with Dick and da 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 da. So yeah, it's how memories fade. So it's nice to reinforce and let people remember, the next generation of fans following that. Hey, you didn't do too bad back in the day.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
was some of the memories. Of course, some of these people weren't born at the time, and while it's nice to pass on the history, it's not surprising really that some of them didn't know. And but yeah, look, special period of time. Nice to be able to share it with a few people tonight, and yeah, we'll probably get a chance in the next week or two to add some stuff into the mix. A few more questions, see what we can do to answer them.
Yeah, that's
And of
true.
course,
And
the people that do miss this show tonight, they'll always go be on YouTube under the Pinepac channel, so you can always catch it there.
yeah, for sure. It'll be online on YouTube, and the link will be shared. A few comments here. Jeff Bruce thanking you, Bruce, and commenting on the beautiful cars. So yeah, credit to all of those who put in the hard yards. Hoppy, you put in a lot of time in our team back in the day, and for you and Wayne to do what you did. We're trying to get Wayne on the show, but he lives out in the sticks, and his internet is no better than a party line from back in the day. So we need to drag him somewhere where he's got decent internet connection. Maybe we get him to spend an evening at Bruce's, and we'll get the two of them together. So we'll bring Wayne into the picture. He's got a few stories, I can tell you that. But anyhow, so we'll close out at that. It's thanks for me, Bruce. Final words.
Yeah, look, cheers to everybody out there. And if it's a little bit of entertainment for you, that's great. But look, questions anytime. Just go online and ask whatever you want to know about.
Very good. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Baz. It's been a great night
Thank
with
you.
Baz and Andy talking with Bruce, and we'll see you again soon.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers all.